I think actually the best leaders are the ones that do a really good job with setting boundaries.
Yeah.
And some of the ones that fail.
Welcome to Behind the Frame, where we go beyond the LinkedIn bios and Instagram highlight reels to talk about what really happens when you're building something from scratch. I'm Jay Duffy, co-founder of Frame Wealth Partners, business owner, husband, dad, and guy who still wonders if winging it counts as a legitimate growth strategy. Spoiler, it does sometimes. Join me and my amazing co-hosts, Morgan Watson and Annette Quigley, as we sit down with someone who's built a business or is knee-deep in the messy middle of it. And we talk about the real stuff, the pivots, the late nights, the wins no one celebrated, and the lessons no one warned them about. So grab a coffee or something stronger. We're going behind the frame. Welcome back to Behind the Frame. I believe we are on episode 21.
Yeah, lucky 21.
I know. I got my my co-host back, thankfully. Welcome back.
Did you miss me?
I did.
Oh, okay,
I did. I missed you. I was joking. Morgan's back, which means this episode is brought to you by caffeine, calendar invites, and tight hamstrings.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
I like that you bring me for the fitness people and the endurance.
Exactly.
I'm ready for what do you tell a mid-50-year-old fat guy who doesn't walk around much? I know that's coming.
Exactly. Well, before we go to our guest today, I want to make sure we hit on our weekend wins for you.
Yeah, great weekend. We got the bands back together. So our oldest, junior in college, came home. We moved her back from college. Lovely Sunday, pouring down rain. It was alumni weekend at Princeton, so we had to park like a quarter mile away.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that was enjoyable. But yeah, so she's back. Our middle one's back from college, and the young one, Russell's, got everybody together. First night at dinner, so I asked Meryl, it's like, all right, babe, what do you want to do? She goes, I want to go fishing with Morgan one day.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, we're back. It's good.
That's
So
cool.
That was a good weekend.
That's
win.
cool. That's cool.
How about you?
I got two. Number one was we went down to Ocean City for Memorial Day weekend, which was, we do it every year. And it was great.
Rain or shine, obviously.
Yeah, rain or shine, obviously. It was great. It was pouring down rain. It was windy, and we survived. So I call that a win.
You got to sit in
Indoor
someone
mini
else's-
golf weekend?
Yeah.
No, we did alley oops, which was packed, obviously. And so after that, we also did what is it called? Escape room.
Oh, really? Okay.
Fun.
Which I tried to convince my lovely wife to do. She did not, because she was just
No.
terrified of being locked in a room.
Yeah, that would. I was going to.
I was like, I need the least most panicked person in there with me, helping me try to solve how to get out of this room.
And that is not my wife.
It's not
Couldn't be
Meg.
Meg.
Exactly. It's not Meg. I'm sorry. So I brought my mother-in-law in, and
Oh, okay, good.
it was funny because we got towards the end, and we were running out of time. I was like, oh man, we must be pretty close. And the owner comes in, says, all right, you're out of time. She's like, let me show you what else you need to do to finish this. And it was like they said they gave the rating at like a 9 out of 10 of solving the puzzle, which was pretty cool. And she's like, oh, you are really close. And then she proceeds to go through like 7 other things that we would have had to have done. I was like, we weren't that close.
So close.
So close. So I was like, I really appreciate you're a sweetheart, but we were not close to finishing this puzzle. And then the second one is more about you. I got to see, you. I think you left on, I don't know if it was Wednesday, a little bit earlier in the afternoon. I said, oh, well, working a half day, where are you going? And you go, I'm going to the gym.
Yeah.
So I was excited that my business partner is taking the gym a little bit more seriously here.
Exactly.
So I wanted to embarrass you a little bit
Well, I
too.
appreciate
So
it. They only called the ambulance twice, so that was good.
Oh man, well we have a great guest today, Laura Reynolds. I definitely want to go over your intro, but before we do that, do you have any weekend wins?
I do have a weekend win.
Okay.
This one is kind of fun. So I'm a competitive runner, but I run with a group of folks pretty regularly. And on Wednesdays, we do a pub run, which is like a 3-mile route, and it changes up. There's 5 different routes that we leave from. We leave from IBC, so Independent and Bel Air. And this weekend, this is our second year doing it, but we did what's called a pentathlon. So it's
Okay.
all of the routes together.
Oh,
and
boy.
in between each of the 5 routes, we stop at Independent, and Phil
Okay.
gives
Beer.
us this little, like,
Okay.
2-ounce pour.
Okay.
And it was cool. There was about 20 of us that did it. So made
How long did
it.
it take you?
We were out for a little over 2 hours. I mean, like running time.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was good. We ended up at like 16 miles, and it was
That's
just a
pretty
fun
cool.
group
Now,
of
are you
people.
like you chilling out for a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In between each one, we do like a little, like 15-minute hang and
That's pretty cool.
have our
Okay.
beer, and it was really fun. So
That sounds actually really cool.
it's
Yeah.
a really
I
fun
can get
time.
behind that.
Yeah.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome.
It was cool.
Well, Laura, today we have the founder and CEO of Executive Endurance Coaching. Laura helps executives, athletes, and everyday leaders build the endurance mindset needed to move through challenge, change, burnout, self-doubt, and growth. She brings a unique combination of coaching, leadership, talent acquisition, and endurance sports. She personally lives the message through ultramarathons and triathlons. Wow, it's way above my pay grade. But what stood out to us is that her work is not just about being tougher. It's about grit, clarity, resilience, remembering who you are, and learning how to keep going with purpose. So today we have Laura Reynolds. Welcome to the
Thank
show.
you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Ultra marathons, 100 milers.
No,
Oh,
don't be
okay.
giving me too much credit.
Oh, okay.
No. My longest is probably something like 43 miles.
Okay.
I have a 50-miler coming up, so we'll see
Nice.
if that ends up
Where's
being-
the 50 miler?
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah.
I supported one of my friends. Shout out to Harry Mendez.
Yes, Harry Mendez.
Yeah. He did a 50 miler in Virginia. I think it was like the North Face one.
Yeah.
And
It's a tough one.
It looked tough. I came and
Yeah.
supported. And I said,
It's
"What?"
probably tough on crew, too.
Yeah, exactly. I ran. I got to run a loop with him, but yeah, it was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Now,
not-
will you have any loop runners with you, or
I actually don't know if I'm able to have a pacer in that one.
really?
No, I don't know if I can, but I'll have a crew there for sure.
Yeah.
So people there that commiserate in my
Yeah.
idiocracy.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'll be honest. My brother's wife, she's got a few members of her family do the 100 milers. And they talk about literally you can sleep while you're running.
I've
and-
paced for a number of 100-milers, and they're awesome to
Yeah.
run portions of, but
Yeah,
that is
sure.
all I'll ever do for a 100-miler. I have no intentions, no
Yeah.
aspirations to run 100 miles. It's a little bit nutty.
I guess what's the type of mindset that someone would want to do that?
Um,
Is it just to test?
Nothing good in their life.
I would say it's probably somebody that is they want to remind themselves that they're capable of doing a hard thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
usually some sort of deeper search that they're out there
Yeah.
looking for.
Right.
Yeah. The people that run 100-milers have the best stories. I will say that.
Yeah.
There's a reason. They're not
Yeah.
just doing it on a whim, and
Sure.
it
Yeah.
wasn't like a bet that they lost over a beer. Like there's an
Yeah.
intent behind
Yeah.
a 100-mile runner,
Goodness.
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, Laura, let's talk a little bit about your
Yeah.
origin. Before we get into executive endurance coaching, who are you behind the frame?
Oh my gosh. I mean, as you know, my favorite job is being a mom.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
have an 8-year-old daughter. She's amazing. She's also really into athletics. She's into the ball sport world right now. Thank God, because I don't think I could be in a convention center the way that I was in one growing up. we love cheer. We love dance.
Yes.
So glad that
So,
isn't her path
I
so
am
far.
so glad.
We love time limits.
I
Same.
really would prefer to be on a field.
Yeah.
I could not agree with you more. I spent one, and my wife, she said, "Hey, I need you to meet me at one of Colin's
Yeah.
cheerleading events."
Yeah.
And it was at UMBC, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll be there." She's like, "You need to get there at this time." I got there. She didn't go on for like 3 more hours.
And it was 3
And-
minutes.
And Megan had to leave and get on a flight.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there stuck with every cheerleading mom.
Yeah.
There was
Like,
no
what the heck
cheerleading.
happened?
What the heck happened? And then I was like, "She's done? It's 3 minutes."
Oh, it's 3 minutes.
It's 3 minutes. I was there for 3 hours.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And you have to watch all of your other teammates
I
go
know.
too. So inevitably, even if yours is the youngest, you're there through all of the other no.
Yeah.
I'm not about that life. So,
So-
I'm glad that Emmy has not
What is
picked
she?
that.
What sports is she playing?
She's lacrosse, soccer, and basketball right now. And
Nice.
oddly
Those
enough,
are my 3 sports.
That's
Yeah.
Merrill's
She-
also.
and She's like really leaned into basketball, which is not
Nice.
her best. She's
Yeah.
not bad, but
Yeah.
she's like still pretty tiny. She isn't tall.
Yeah.
But she's like mighty. She wants to be
Now
the one.
she loves playing the sport. Is she watching the sport too?
She's actually not watching it all that
Okay.
much. She's
Okay.
really not. Which is kind of cool because she's doing it because that's what she wants to do
Right.
and not
Yeah.
because
Right.
she's seeing anybody that is sticking out to her in particular.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, we're not really about specialization, just kind of letting her pick what
That's-
she's
I
loving
think
right
that's
now.
the best thing.
Oh, absolutely.
3-sport athlete.
Yeah.
Not getting overwhelmed with just one sport. I think that's the best thing. you
Yeah.
can do.
And your girls probably know about this, but Emerson has gotten ridiculously competitive about this 1 kilometer run that
Yes,
they do
at St.
twice a
James.
week at St. James.
Yeah.
She asked for a Garmin because she wanted to train for this thing. I was like, is anybody else training for this thing? Like, does anyone else know they're racing or is it just you?
Yeah, so Hayden reminded me this morning. She's like, "Hey, I don't know what did they call it? Is it the lane or no? It's
It's the path.
The path.
The path.
Yes, they call it the path.
Big deal.
Yes. She said I ran the path and I couldn't remember the boy's name. She's like, I beat him, Dad. I was like, good.
Probably Sebastian.
Yeah,
He's the
it's
big
probably- yeah.
he's a big runner.
He's a big
It's
runner.
Aiden in our class.
Okay.
And Aiden has been second for the entire year. Now Emerson is beside herself because she's been first this whole year.
Yeah.
And now Aiden has
He's
been
got-
training, I guess, in the
Oh.
background. Didn't tell anybody and now he's out
Oh.
of the woodwork.
Sneaky,
And she's like,
sneaky,
what the heck?
sneaky.
So yeah.
Okay.
So that's my favorite job is being a mom.
That's awesome.
Ultramarathon runner, triathlete. That's really the identity outside of this, and that's kind of what brought this whole thing into what it is now because of the endurance piece. And oddly enough, I wouldn't have considered myself an endurance athlete growing up.
Okay.
I was more into the cheer and dance world. I did some running for track, but I
Okay.
wouldn't have classified myself as a competitive athlete at that
Right.
point in my life. I was-
You grew into it.
yeah. And I wasn't like super coordinated growing up, oddly enough. I was, so I don't think my parents had me pegged as like the athlete
Right,
later. They were
right.
kind of like, let's lean into the goofball.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
laughing internally, and that's my wife. You know,
yeah. That's why we go to cheer because where else are they going to embrace us being kind of uncoordinated, kind of goofy, and when we're not cheering, we get to like go and do karaoke somewhere.
Yep.
Come
I totally get it. So, follow-up question.
Yeah.
What did younger Laura think success was going to look like?
I mean, I looked to my dad, honestly, as like my picture of success. And he actually, he owns his own financial counsel firm.
Oh, wow.
And he took after his dad and went into that line of business. So I was kind of always chasing that, where I was like, I guess that's what it looks like is you put on the suit and you go
Yeah.
to like the pretty building and you make money. And his partnership with my mom was a dental hygienist, and they kind of early on, she pulled back from that, and he was the one that went to work every day. And I kind of thought that's what success looked like.
Okay.
So I was going to try to do that. And then I was really bad at math. I was like, this isn't going to work for me, I guess.
So now, do you have any siblings?
I do. I have a brother.
Okay. Now, did he go into?
He did.
Okay.
And it turns out that was not his path either.
Oh, wow.
He was asked to respectfully not come back.
Oh,
So,
that's tough.
I hear
So
there are other
Ryan-
options out there.
yeah, so Ryan went the law route.
Okay.
Okay.
And he kind of did some work on the side for them, but ultimately we both really determined that that wasn't the path for us, and I guess it was trial by error for us.
Yeah.
I never went into the family business, thank God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm actually glad that I didn't. I think it was the best thing for our
But you
relationship.
grew up with
Yeah.
an
Business
entrepreneur
owner.
family,
Yeah.
a business owner
Yeah.
family.
Yep. I saw it through both my grandfather and my dad.
Okay.
Wow.
And my dad was the first, I think, of the sons and only to graduate college.
Okay.
And he started the
same
family
with me.
business. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he started, I think, when he was 18. So he was
Wow.
doing that like in tandem of going to college. So
Oh,
I
wow.
really saw that, and that was my first, I think, exposure to what I would now call grit. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
nobody
Okay.
really pushed him to do it. It was something
Yeah.
that he wanted to do, and yeah.
Okay.
So, get out of school. Did you start? What was your first career? What was your first kind of job coming out?
I'm kind of laughing because I think a lot of people land at Aerotech, but I was one of those
Okay.
that ended up at the puppy mill.
Yeah.
And it was really just the first place that I interviewed, I was like, "Oh, that's awesome! I got an interview, and this sounds really cool." And in the beginning, their mantra was like, "We work hard, play hard," and that was like the first I'd really heard it, and I was like, "That sounds pretty good coming out of college." And I didn't know what recruiting was. It wasn't like you go to college to be a recruiter.
Right.
But just like any typical college student that came in and didn't really have a direction, I was a mass comm major, and all I knew was that I wanted to deal with people. And I feel like a lot of people come out of college saying that. I just like people. And I don't know. I guess this feels right. Interviewed, and it was the first offer that I received. So I actually started off recruiting for skills trades, which no women were doing. Right. So I was placing like machinists. Yeah. And at the time, they required us to take them to lunch like once a week and coffees. So these people were like getting in my car. That was like, no more. Thank God. Couldn't do that now. But that's where I landed, and I spent the bulk of my career in recruiting. I ended up loving it. So that really.
What do you think you learned the most from it?
I think I learned the most about what other people were doing. I mean, you really had to listen to what other people were doing to really gain an understanding of their craft so that you knew how to place for it. You know, I couldn't hire unless I knew exactly what those people were doing. But it also, I guess it started my interest in really trying to problem solve where people were going wrong in their hiring. And usually it was deeper than just putting a butt in a seat. It's like, what are their retention issues? What are their workforce management issues? You know, what are their leaders like? And that's really what I took a particular interest in is their leaders. And there weren't a lot of good ones.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
it's funny because we see it in the financial industry. Some firms I've noticed is they don't have a recruiting issue. They have a retention issue.
For sure.
It's due to the culture that they've created. It's like you said, it's a puppy mill. It's turnover is constant.
A lot of emphasis on management, but not leadership.
And I think people use promotion as a retention tool, and sometimes that's a disservice to the person that they're promoting. You know, I saw it all the time in recruiting is that you'd have a really high-performing individual contributor, but that doesn't always translate to being a good people manager. In fact, a lot of the time it doesn't, because if somebody on their team is doing poorly, they don't want anything to do with them. They're used to being a high performer, and that's what they want to be associated with. So when they have somebody that's struggling, they're like, oh, sorry, they're not mine.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not, you don't get to pick and choose as a manager.
So true.
You go down with the weakest one.
What's the saying? Hire slow, fire fast. You
know, failures fast.
Failures fast.
Yep.
I remember in my role before as a regional director, part of my role was to grow the firm. And it was a lot about acquiring the right talent to the firm. And there's a lot of times I didn't want to hire certain people. Just because I that first interview, they're going to give you their best self.
Always.
And if they are not an absolute yes in that first meeting, then you should pass.
Right.
In my opinion. Because it's only going to go down.
Please tell everybody else that.
Exactly.
If only it were that easy.
I know. You'll save yourself a lot of heartache in the long run, I'll tell you that.
And there's always something to be said of the gut check. Like, if it's not feeling right, there's a reason for it. You might not be able to put your finger on it, but there's a reason.
I learned years ago, you got to identify why they won't make it in the career, not why they will. Because there's too many wills that won't. There's not many won'ts that will. So, you know, what's going to keep them from being successful? And that's really what we got to kind of dig in on.
For sure.
So, years on talent acquisition. Then you went from employee to employer, right? Started doing with the executive endurance coaching. At what point made you kind of make this switch? What was kind of the impetus for that?
This had been kind of tugging at me for a while, I would say, and I kind of like a lot
of entrepreneurs, I spent probably too much time in my last role. I overstayed my welcome, and I knew in my last corporate job before I even accepted it, I knew that it's not what I wanted, and I was kind of biding time because I was scared. I was scared to do this thing on my own. So I went into what felt safe, and I stuck with recruiting, and I was like, I guess I can do this. I was asked at the time to come in and build the IT recruiting arm of the business. So it was staffing. and they didn't have an IT arm at that time. So
Okay.
no one even knew that they were capable of hiring for IT. So not only was I coming in and creating, a new team, but no one was even aware within that staffing agency that IT was something that they would do.
Right.
And it was a horrible time for IT for anybody that knows. So I was like, I guess I can do it, but I wasn't totally jazzed. I knew the people really well. So I was like, that I can do. I'll go for the people. And that part I don't regret. But I kind of knew in that last role that this was something that I was doing because it was safe. In my running world, I had noticed that I had really become the person that people came to for advice, whether it was life, employment,
Oh, wow.
raising kids.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I really thought anything of it. I don't know that I put coach to it,
Sure.
or a leader in that capacity. But I ended up getting let go from the last corporate job that I was in. It was kind of a mutual thing at the time. It was, I would say, I quiet quit,
Quiet quit. I was waiting
Yeah.
for it.
which I wouldn't
Yeah.
recommend.
Yeah.
But I was just like, this is not for me. I don't love
Yeah.
this. And I started to kind of pull away, and I just wasn't jazzed. And I think it was mutual at the time.
Sure.
And at that time, it was right before, I think it was Halloween that the layoff happened.
Yeah.
And it was right before the holidays. I was like, well, then what the hell am I going to do? This is right at the worst time.
Sure.
And I think the initial reaction was panic. I wanted to lean into the panic of what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And then I pretty quickly went into safe. And I was like, all right, well, I'll just pick up another recruiting job. Not a big deal. And then I had a moment where I was like, or you could really lean into it this time.
Yeah.
You made the mistake with this last role by saying yes when it wasn't what you wanted to do. So why wouldn't you use this moment to go all in on this thing
Yep.
that has been keeping you awake for the last few years? You're already kind of doing it in your social circles. It's the part of recruiting that you love, because I was working with a lot of executive
Yeah.
teams, and they were wanting coaching around their leaders. That was the bigger draw. It wasn't the actual position that they needed filled. They were like, all right, now that you've hired this leader, we need to make sure that they're the strongest leader. So
Right.
how do we do that? And that was the part that I loved. So I took that moment and I was like, all right, I think this is it. I think I'm going to use this as the moment that I fully go into this.
Yeah.
So I gave myself probably a week to pout and be like, this wasn't fair. Why did they do this? Or what, whatever.
Justin, I say that to you. Give yourself one day, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You struggled with your test. One day.
That's right. I got it.
You can be mad in one day.
Mhm.
That's right.
And that's kind of the role always now. I do the same with Emerson. I'm like, you have 24 hours to
Exactly.
feel whatever you're going to feel about this game.
Right.
Good, bad, whatever. And then we need to lean into the next.
Yep.
So I probably pouted for a little too long. But oddly enough, right before the layoff, what became my business coach reached out to me. And
Oh,
this
cool.
was the second time that she had contacted me. And it was the day that the layoff happened that I got a message from her on LinkedIn. And she was like, hey, I know I reached out to you before. Something tells me that this is better timing. And it was weird, but it was my
Yeah.
sign that I think I was waiting for. Everybody waits for the
Sure.
thing that
Yeah.
tells them that this is the right move.
Yeah.
And it was that message from her. And I was like, all right. So I messaged her back and I was like, yep, I'm interested in talking. And I signed up for a coaching academy as well. So
Oh,
at the
wow.
very same time, mind you, I'm making no money right now. I got a severance package, but no income for
Yeah.
the foreseeable future that I was aware of.
Right.
And I dropped $10,000 on a coaching academy to get my PCC, and then $6,000 on a business coach, which felt insane. I was like, this feels dumb.
Yeah.
Best move of my life.
Yes.
Taking that risk, taking the chance, having faith in the fact that this was the right thing, because I ended up making it back tenfold pretty quickly. But that was the shift.
Well, it's the best investment you can ever make is in yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Do you remember your moment?
Yeah. So when I transitioned, same thing with Jay. I was in leadership for probably 20 years in this industry, and it was funny. The recruiting, for me, I'm an all or nothing kind of person.
Yeah.
I'm all in or I'm all out, and I got to the point. Jim, he was complaining about it's not making money and family struggles and it's just everything's too tough. It from the outside looking in, it's tough because you're not working.
Right.
You're finding everything to do, and probably didn't have the most professional conversation I could have had with him.
He told me in the conversation, this will not go on the podcast.
And then he leaves the office, and I'm like, yeah, I probably don't need to do this from this side anymore, because I get very invested in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I felt like it had gotten to the point where I'm more invested in someone else's success than they are in theirs. And I got to the point, Jay knows, I'm like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
The only problems I'm going to deal with are mine. I don't want to have to deal with everyone else's.
Well, the reason I wanted to ask you, because I think we all had similar moments, there's always that moment in time where it's like, I know I shouldn't be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I need to really take that leap, and it is a leap of faith.
Yeah.
And it's a leap of faith in believing in yourself that you can make it happen.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And it's scary. I did the same thing, and I remember saying to Megan, I was like, look, we could stay this route, and we will be fine. Mm-hmm. I will have a good living. We will do well, but there's something about, like, I feel stuck, like, in this position, and I have less and less control over the most crucial thing personally in my life, which is time. Yeah. Time with my family, time with building something that we actually own. That was really important for me. And once you make that leap and you don't look back, you burn the boats. It's a different story. It's a different story. It's scary too.
It is scary.
How was the first, I guess, 6 months?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm curious, what was easier than you thought?
And what was Mr. Reynolds saying this whole time?
It's not involved in this at all.
Okay.
So I think, for sure, like, not knowing what the income situation was going to look like, that's always terrifying, for sure. And I had actually had a conversation the other day, and this is relevant to what I was kind of feeling at the time, but it was, be careful what you're good at, because that's going to be the easiest thing for you to make money in, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be the most fulfilling. Yeah. And that's exactly what was happening to me in my recruiting world. It's like I continued to do it. I continued to lead in it, made great money. I was miserable. Like, it was not what woke me up in the morning. And I was kind of doing a disservice to the people that I was serving at that time, because you could tell that I wasn't in it at that point. So I think the scariest moment, though, was the income situation. For anybody that's going into entrepreneurship, for them to tell you that they're confident in that, they're lying.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'll be honest, like, I think most entrepreneurs, unless they're independently wealthy or have, family money just sitting there, you're going to start in the hole a little bit. And I did, but pretty severely. So not knowing whether or not I was going to make that back was daunting. But I also had this, like, newfound confidence in myself, because I finally felt like it was aligned. Something did click where as soon as I signed up for the academy and I started attending those sessions, I was like, this is it. This is where I was supposed to be. It didn't feel like I had to try as hard. It felt like that's where I was always kind of meant to be. Sure. And it was coming much more naturally. And I felt like I was really good at it. So pretty quickly that faith was being restored, that, like, if everybody else can see how good I feel like I am in this, the money piece will come.
All right. Technical difficulties here, and Morgan has left. He's decided to actually go and start his own first marathon. He was so excited listening to your stories that he actually wanted to go run a marathon. No, he actually had to jump into a meeting. We had some technical difficulties, but we are back. And so I'm gonna jump right into a question. When someone hears the phrase executive endurance, what does that actually mean?
Really, and this has been actually a source of confusion, because a lot of people think that I'm some sort of athletic coach, and I'm not. But executive endurance is really the mindset that you need in order to get through a hard effort. And that came to be because a lot of the mindset that I felt like I needed to develop in endurance sport is not too dissimilar from the same endurance mindset that I needed in order to get through hard efforts and building a business, or leading a team. So,
follow-up question: why endurance instead of maybe performance?
Because I'm going to use a sporting analogy here. Because performance, I feel like it's a little too exclusive for people, right? Like when I go to some of these races, I'd argue that the people who finish at the end
might have better endurance.
Yeah.
Because to have that type of mindset, to be able to stay in it that much longer than the leaders,
True.
dang, that's grit.
Yeah.
So really, it's somebody's ability to endure something that's hard for a long period of time. You don't have to be a quote unquote high performer in order to endure hard times, hard efforts.
Absolutely.
So that's really what I wanted to coach people around is like, hey, you might not actually be performing all of that well in this moment. You're probably not.
Yeah.
How are you going to endure it?
Okay. Another follow-up question to that then, what are you noticing between executives and maybe endurance athletes? Are you seeing like a commonality with that? Do they have something in common?
I think it is grit. I think it is the willingness to even take on something hard to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, and there is something that they have to improve or prove to themselves internally. So you see that a lot in both endurance athletes and executives, for sure. But oddly enough, I think a big commonality too is the desire to want to keep things simple. Executives aren't going to be the first to admit that because they always want to be taking on more. But most of the time, the executives that I end up coaching deeply want simple, and they've gotten away from it, and they want to like go touch grass.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Well, no, I think about it a lot because, again, you know, myself and Morgan being entrepreneurs with our business, he's very much, I think he's my pace car.
Yeah.
For our partnership, he's my pace car. I'm always the when I go into his office, I'm like the good idea fairy. I was like, hey, we should do this, and he's like, oh my God, get out of my office. We're not going to do that right away. Let's pick one, and let's focus on that. So is there? I don't know if I don't know how to phrase this question, but is there like a rule around pacing when it comes to building a business or coaching that you do with like some of your executives? Like kind of bringing it back to endurance, like, you know, you can't just go out and...
You don't want to go out too fast. I think, you know, I will say that when I was building my own business, and a lot of the people that I coach around building their own businesses too, it's like everybody comes out with they come out hot. They have all these ideas that they want to execute right away. And most, if not all, of the people that are going into this entrepreneurial space want it to be perfect from day one. And if you are waiting for something to be perfect in order to start, you're not going to start.
Right.
So that was something that I had learned in the Academy for Coaching was like, do it messy.
Yeah.
Like, don't be afraid to just start, but don't go out so hot that you burn yourself out.
Right.
You can't do it all immediately.
I agree with that. You know, I noticed that, you know, a lot of leaders, they're praised for like kind of pushing harder, working longer hours, being available all the time.
Yeah.
Where does that go wrong though for them?
I think actually the best leaders are the ones that do a really good job with setting boundaries.
Yeah.
And some of the ones that fail really have a hard time with that. I think also like it's okay to not know something, you know.
Sure.
The best leaders I think are just really good at surrounding themselves with people
Smart
and delegating to people that are smarter than them.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to know what you don't know. That comes back to kind of having that self-awareness.
How do you coach around that?
Oh gosh.
Because in my opinion, it's breaking someone down to say, hey, look, that's not your superpower. Why worry about that?
Right. I think usually I start with what it is that really drives them. What do you want to be doing?
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to take on everything.
No.
What is your relationship?
We just want it to work
like,
right.
Yes. And usually it comes down to control. That's what it is. They want to control the outcome. So like, what is your relationship to control? And going back into like, where did that originate? What is your fear of letting this one thing go? Because it stems from something deeper. It's not just that they want to carry all of the things and that they're good at all of the things.
Yeah.
There's probably some issue around control. Okay. What happened that you feel like you need to control all of the things? So really I start with that. It's not too dissimilar from therapy sometimes because it's like there's a root to all of the reasons why you're doing the things that you're doing and leading the way that you lead.
I agree.
And even communicating the way that you communicate. So I start with getting to the root of that. It's like, what's the why? And what do you think is going to go so terribly if you delegate this to somebody who might be able to execute it better.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. One of the biggest themes in your work is helping people who feel stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Is that coming from experience, like what you kind of went through being stuck? What does being stuck usually look like in leaders that you've noticed?
Stuck is usually going to physically show in burnout. Like that's when you see somebody who has like pulled off the gas and they have completely checked out. They're coming in at the nth possible hour to get there, and they're maybe one of the first to leave.
Yeah.
Like oftentimes that isn't because they don't want to do it. They just don't know how to continue at the pace that they were going anymore, and it doesn't really drive them anymore. They might feel stuck. They might feel like they don't have a great mentor. They don't know what the next thing looks like for them.
Sure.
Or they have climbed the ladder. This is really the more common one, is that they've climbed the ladder. They've done everything that they're supposed to do. They've gotten the titles they were supposed to have, made the money they were supposed to make, and they don't feel the way that they were expecting to feel.
I know that feeling.
And that's where they're like, shit, like I've put in all of this time. I've risked everything.
Yeah.
And I don't feel
fulfilled.
No.
It's, oh my God.
Yeah.
Preach to the choir.
So you can feel really stuck, because then you're like, what do I do now? I've invested all of this time, this energy, my life into this thing. And what do I do now? Like, what hobbies? And it is absolutely coming from personal experience, both in the business side and my personal life. I've had for sure moments where I'm like, am I ever going to get through this thing? And I was really needing somebody that was proof of survival, of getting through a similar thing, so that I knew I'd be okay in getting through that thing. So I really wanted to be that for other people, because I needed a coach in those moments. I needed a mentor in those moments and didn't have one. So that was why I got into this space, because I wanted so badly to be able to be that for somebody else.
Yeah. Because I think this relates to your story. I think it relates to my story. Mm-hmm. Do you think most people know that they're stuck?
That's a good question.
Or do they disguise it, maybe, as being busy?
There will be signs. Like there will be signs that people ignore, where, and that happened in my corporate career. There were definitely signs where I was like, I shouldn't, okay, I'll give an example of this one. So when I worked at, we'll leave the company name out of it, but I was a global leader. So I was managing global teams. I had a couple all over the place, and I felt really lucky to be in that role, to be a global director at, I think I was 34 at the time. Yeah. I was like, this is pretty nice. Right. Making more money than I thought I would be making at that age. And I hated it. I hated it so much. And it was taking away from my time with my daughter. It was taking away from my time running, which I was like, this is a problem. If I can't run, I'm going to lose my mind. So what are we going to do here? And I felt very stuck in that moment. But I also felt like, well, everybody else thinks that I'm lucky to be in this position. And it came back to like, other people think that this is the right thing for me. This is what I'm supposed to want to do. And I'm supposed to feel really grateful in this moment. But I felt stuck. I knew that I was getting stuck. Yeah. And it kind of snowballs from there, because you're doing it for the wrong reasons at that point. Like if it's for somebody else's expectation of what it should look like, then you will not feel fulfilled.
No, not at all.
That's not your benchmark of happiness.
I totally agree.
So people know it, whether or not they do anything about it. Typically it's when they're like rock bottom, before they're like, all right, I think I'd like to be unstuck.
I totally agree with that. And you use the phrase, because I think it's a great segue into run your own race. Yeah. What does that mean in like leadership and business life? What does that, well, maybe what does that mean for you? And I don't think you can put it arbitrarily out there. What does that mean for everyone? Because it's run your own race, but.
So many leaders that I end up coaching, especially on like the executive leadership team, where they're high up. Yeah. I get people come to me and they're like, well, I know that I should be here because so-and-so was there at that time. Or, it's not fair that I'm putting in all of this work and he got promoted to this and he's making this much money, but I'm not. I'm like, does it even matter to you? Like, do you want to be doing what that person's doing? Well, no. No. Do you want the responsibility that person has? Nope. No. So then why is this eating issue the way
it's the
that
keeping
it is.
up with the Joneses
Yeah.
like feel. Yeah, I know exactly.
But
what
then you argue, like, okay, when you're keeping up with the Joneses,
Yeah.
when you finally are at a point in your career where you have the title, you have the money,
Yeah.
you likely don't have the time
No.
to do any of it.
Nope.
So, like, that's great that you have this beautiful boat. That's
Yeah.
great that you have the money to be able to travel to all of these beautiful vacations.
Right.
But my guess is you're probably either not joining your family when they're going to these things, or you're there and you're on your phone and you're not present anyway. So, like, what does it matter to
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
be with the Joneses?
Well, since becoming a business owner,
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel about your personal life? Like, meaning like the time that you've
Yeah.
maybe have gotten back that you didn't have before
Yeah.
when you're in the corporate world.
I will say that has been a surprise to me, is that, I think a lot of people go into entrepreneurship thinking that I want to create work-life balance for myself. I
Yeah.
want more of it.
Yeah.
It's actually harder. It's harder because you have to be really intentional about blocking your time.
Oh, yeah.
There's nobody that's going to say, hey, like, we're turning the lights off now, so you can shut it down and call it a day. There's often times where I'm up later
Yep.
or I'm up earlier. I come down and it's pretty easy to open the computer right away and sit there with my coffee, and I'm working probably longer hours than what I was in the
Sure.
corporate world. However, I'm much more intentional
Yeah.
about the time that I'm making for specifically Emerson.
Yeah.
I really wanted to be a present mom. So I'm able to now, I hard block my time in the morning so that
Yeah.
I'm cranking out work so that I can run during lunch.
Yeah.
And it's not going to interrupt
Yeah.
my time with her.
Yeah.
Or if she's got a practice, I know that I'm probably getting up at 5 that morning and it's going to be a treadmill workout.
Yep.
So I can do it a little bit differently, but I will say it's harder. Like, there's
it is.
no one that's telling you how to block that time. So it is up to you to decide what is the priority.
I noticed the same thing, but I also noticed that I'm two things. One, you probably feel the same way. You're doing something that you're more passionate about.
Yeah.
That you genuinely enjoy.
Yeah.
And for me, it doesn't feel like work.
No, I love it now.
I love the work that I do, being able to help out clients in the way that we're doing it. But the second thing is that, especially for Morgan and I and Annette, being partners, when I am off the clock, I am fully unplugged.
Oh, me too.
And I love that. I
Yeah.
think when I was answering to more the corporate side of things, I never felt like I could be unplugged.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I had to answer things instantaneously.
Yeah.
I was always on the clock, and it was for someone else.
Yeah.
So I totally get that.
Yeah.
You've also spoken to parents, coaches, and athletes. For you, what do adults often get wrong when trying to help young people become resilient?
I'll use myself as an example because I think, you could probably attest to this too, as parents, we always want to do what is best for our kid.
Sure.
And sometimes we get that wrong. Sometimes we overstep. Sometimes we're doing it the way that we wish that things would have been done for us.
Yeah.
My parents, God love them, they did the best that they could with the tools that they had at that time.
Yeah.
But for them, that looked like being helicopter parents.
Yeah.
They wanted to protect me from all
everything.
of the things. And that really does end up doing a disservice to your child because they're going to run into tough times. They're going to run into tough conversations. They're going to run into situations that they don't like, situations that don't go their way.
Yeah.
And to act on their behalf rather than letting them practice how to deal with those situations is taking away from their ability to grow.
Yeah.
And that was me. I was completely sheltered for most of my life, and it was out of good intent. It
Sure.
wasn't meant to be malicious.
Yeah.
But then when I was an adult and trying to figure out who I was and how I would respond to hard or, adversity,
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. I also didn't have an opinion for
Yeah.
myself because I just kind of went along with what my parents did. I realized in my 30s that I was figuring out who I was for the first time. And really, if I'm being totally honest, in a moment of reflection, I figured out for the first time who I was through raising Emerson.
Yeah. Wow.
Because I wanted to show her, like, you have a voice, you have a say in this.
Yeah.
And this is a collaboration. I'm your mom, but you get to collaborate with me on how you want to approach a situation, because
Right.
at the end of the day, it will be your life, not mine.
Yeah.
So I think that's where a lot of parents get it wrong, is you think that you're protecting them, but your kids need to learn how to advocate for themselves, because
Sure.
they'll have to advocate for themselves in business and in life.
I agree with that. And I think the bigger part is that, making the world too soft for the kids nowadays is I purposely sometimes, with whether it's James or Hayden or even Collins, like I want them to do something that I know that they're going to fail at it.
Yes,
I
me too.
want them to do it because I want them to experience and be like, I don't want them to always experience success because at some point they're not going to experience success and it could crumble them.
Yeah. Well, and I say this all the time to both my coaching clients, but also to Emmy, is, some of my best life lessons have happened in a DNF.
Yeah.
Like I dropped from a race that I felt like I was completely ready for, and I thought that I had everything.
Failure is one of the best.
That's
things.
been by far my better lessons. When everything goes to plan, like sure, it was great, but I didn't feel any particular attachment to it other than like that went well, but I didn't necessarily learn all that much about myself.
Okay.
There's so much to be learned in a failed effort.
100%.
So I think more parents probably could benefit from leaning into that too, is like the knee-jerk reaction is to be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why did you lose that game? Or
Yeah.
why didn't you try?
Yeah.
Or why did you fail that test?
Yeah.
That's going to be the knee-jerk. Everybody wants to go there. I think more of us need to really go inward and be like, okay, what could we have done to practice for this better?
Right.
How did you feel? And that too, I think, is a big one as parents. I've really tried, and I don't know where I picked this up from, probably a child therapist. But, I always measured my success based off of what would have made my parents happy.
Yeah.
If they said, I'm really disappointed in you, or you
that's the
really
worst.
screwed up, I'm like, no. So I was hardwired to make decisions that would avoid disappointing my parents. And in reality, I was a lot different from my parents. So when I figured out who I really was, I disappointed them all the time.
Right.
And that was fine because I was really happy in my life.
Exactly.
Even though it looked different from theirs.
Sure.
So I do make an effort to say to Emmy, before I say anything about how I feel about a painting or her performance on the sports
What do you
field,
think?
how did you feel that went? Because she could have thought that it went phenomenally well, and who am I to take away from that? I'm going to probably
I'm
get
laughing.
pressure,
I'm laughing because I love my son. He's so optimistic and he's so funny about this stuff. But my wife and I were like, man, we're gonna work on some running with him because he thinks he's ridiculously fast,
Oh, dear.
and he's not. And I love him to death. And I was like, how do you think you ran down to first base? He goes, oh, I was flying, Dad. I was like, no, we
There's a
weren't.
balance.
There is. We'll get you there, though. We'll get you there. Well, let's move into our last two segments, Hot or Not and Plead the Fifth. I'm going to kind of explain both. Hot or Not is more on the lines of, this kind of relates to your industry, maybe even some of the training stuff that you do, coaching. And you just tell me hot or not. Feel free to elaborate. I won't go through all the bank of questions that I have here. And then we'll move into the Plead the Fifth segment, which is, you don't know how many questions I'm going to ask.
Oh, God.
My goal is to get you to plead the fifth.
Okay.
You only get one plead the fifth, though.
That's it?
That's it. So you don't know how many questions I'm going to ask.
Okay.
But we'll be fine.
Okay.
So, first one, 5 a.m. wake-ups.
Hot.
Okay? Why?
I just think I'm of the mentality that if you start off your day with structure of some kind, like I feel so much better when I get up and get my workout done early.
Me too.
I just, everything else feels phenomenally better.
I couldn't agree more. I'm a big Jocko fan, and he talks about, if you want discipline, find your alarm clock.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you click the snooze button, you've already lost the first decision of the day.
Yeah.
By not getting out of bed. And he's like, that bed's calling you. It's warm.
Yeah.
You feel comfortable. He's like, go seek the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good message. How about rest days?
Hot.
Okay.
And I think
So
people
why do
need to program rest.
Yeah. Why do high performers struggle with that, do you think?
Because they don't see it as work.
Yeah.
You know, high performers think that you need to always be working in order to be winning, and rest is work. You have to, I mean, if you want to perform really well, your body is only going to take you so far until it's like, we're actually done here. We actually need to recover. So rest is literally repairing like muscle fibers in order for you to move forward.
Absolutely.
Same with your brain.
All right. Here's the question. Motivational quotes on Instagram. Helpful reminder or empty noise?
So this is going to directly go against my aesthetic on my Instagram because I started with the static, like motivational post.
I think they're good.
I think they're great. I think that there needs to be context now. Like there's so many of them out there now that you need to differentiate yourself. And I think more people want to see the story behind the motivational quote.
Right. Yeah, I agree. This kind of hits on what we recently talked about, comparison culture.
Yes. Oh God. I hate it.
I hate it too.
I hate it.
I hate it. And you see it on, I mean, social media just pours it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you help people deal with that? Is that the run your own race?
That is really run your own race, but also, and it's tough because when you're an entrepreneur, so much of building your business involves having to be present on social media.
Yeah.
You have to, people want to see you, they want to hear you.
Yeah.
So I can't be of the camp of like, oh, everybody get rid of social media because that's how I've built my business.
No.
However, very few people are posting when they've had a shit day.
Yeah.
They're just not.
No.
Very few people are like, we're actually going through a divorce right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It looks really good.
Again, there's Instagram and then there's reality, and,
Right.
and it's funny. But you know, everyone paints a perfect picture on Instagram or any type of social media. Not
So
just Instagram.
I hate it. And what it also, like, joy for you is going to look very different than it would look for me.
Right.
It comes back down to the difference between my parents and I. They don't have any intention of going out and being in the woods and getting dirty and running for 6 hours. That does not bring them joy.
No.
My dad wants to throw the Frisbee to the dogs for 6 hours in the backyard. And you know what? Who am I to say that that isn't joy?
That's true.
So if I sat there being like, you know what? I'm not going to be happy unless I'm throwing Frisbees to the dog.
Right.
You can't.
You can't.
It's dangerous to compare.
Yeah. This is going to go back to what you originally said earlier, so I think I know your answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Quiet quitting,
No, don't recommend it.
even though you did it.
I don't recommend it because
No.
and this is an important.
But here we go. That's recognizing, hey, that's not. It's a failure in some instances,
Yes.
right? You know, but you learn from it.
Yes, and I will say, for two instances, this is why it's not okay to quiet quit. I see people do it in the workforce, and I see people do it in relationships. Both I think are terrible.
Yeah.
Because for me, from an employment standpoint, if you quiet quit, you are ruining your reputation with that company. You can't go back to them again and work for them ever, probably.
Yeah.
You can't use them as a reference because they're going to be like, oh, they didn't really contribute anything on the way out. Like, that's not great. And then I see people quiet quit in relationships too. It's like they pull back and stop being a good partner because they want the other partner to make the decision that it's done.
Right.
That's not helpful either.
No.
You know, like recognize the fact that at one point you both cared about each other and have respect enough for the other person to say, we gave it our best.
Right.
Our best wasn't enough. So don't quiet quit anything.
Love it. Looking through, I have so many questions here, but I want to keep it to the ones that we.
Oh God.
This is kind of relates to the Duffy family. Disney as an endurance event.
Oh, so I've never actually done the Disney marathon,
Okay.
but I would argue that like going with a stroller
Yeah.
through all the parks is
Yeah.
a marathon in and of
Now,
itself.
because of your background in cheerleading,
Yeah.
I'm being forced to ask this question. Are you a Disney fan?
Megan's gonna hate me.
Please say it.
I'm
Please.
actually not.
Good. Good.
I'm
All
actually
right.
not. And
Yeah.
I grew up in a Disney household.
I know.
And crazy enough, my child also, I took her to Disney. I don't know. She was 5, I want to say. My parents gifted it to her.
Yeah.
And I was all jazzed.
Yeah.
Emerson's never been like big into the princess scene.
Sure,
She's
sure.
more of like
Yeah.
Marvel and
Yeah.
superheroes.
All right,
She's
cool.
just boy cousins.
Yeah.
But she turned to me, and she was young at the time, and I didn't say anything about my thoughts on Disney, but she was like, This is weird though, because it's all adults in those costumes, right?
Yeah.
Which, sorry, Hayden and Collins, if I spoiled the surprise, but those are adults in those costumes. So she was like never big into it.
Right.
So like luckily,
Oh,
I
you
got
got
away from
lucky.
it. I'm not a
Oh,
Disney
man.
fan.
I'm so glad to hear that. See, Megan, we don't have to go to Disney every
I am
year.
a Marvel fan though.
Yeah,
I would love to go to like
I'm
Universal.
a Marvel fan. I'm a Marvel
Yeah.
fan. I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
And Harry Potter World.
So we got through Hot or Not. Now we're moving on to Plead the
Oh
Fifth.
God,
All
I'm
right.
sweating.
Okay. We're
Sweating.
good. We got the fan going. We're good. So what is the hardest truth you've had to accept about yourself?
Ooh. That I am different than the way I was raised to be.
Okay. I like that. What is one thing high performers say they want, but their actions prove otherwise?
High performers say they want money.
Money. Yeah. What is a moment where you almost quit something important?
Coaching. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Starting early and
Starting early and being overwhelmed by it and being like, oh, I don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah.
Probably that.
Was there a moment in there where you're like it just completely changed your mindset like that, or was it just over time you started getting into a groove?
There was somebody in particular that I coached them through a really hard thing and saw them get to the other side of it. And
How did it make you feel?
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I remembered then in that moment, like how I so needed that when I was going through a hard
Right.
moment, and how I wished that I had that type of figure in my life at that time.
Yep.
So that's what kind of brought me back, is like somebody is sitting there thinking that this is the worst that can happen and they're not going to be able to get through it. And you remember how that feels.
Yeah.
So keep doing it and it'll come back around.
What is something people glorify that you think is actually unhealthy?
The do-it-all mentality.
Yeah.
I think that's silly, especially moms.
Yeah, I've seen some Instagram moms that I laugh at it because of like they're recording like, oh, I'm waking up at this time and I'm putting the kids to getting their clothes out, getting their food out. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is.
Well, and the fact that they're recording it is funny to me too, because I'm like, how many takes did this? And your kid's like crying in the background and you're doing like a try-on session. Like, are you gonna go?
And it shows like 4:30 in the morning, but I was like, but it's light out in the background. I was like, I don't think that's accurate.
No.
Yeah, so it's funny. God. All right. What is a season of life you would never want to relive, but would not erase? You gotta plead the fifth if you need it.
Plead the fifth.
Oh, we got one. All right, let's end with a decent one then. Okay, what is one thing that you used to chase that no longer impresses you?
Validation.
From everyone, or was it?
Everyone, but specifically my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, that's all I got for today. You did awesome.
Yay!
Yeah, we got one plead the fifth, so we're good.
survived.
But Laura, if you could tell our viewers a couple things. Number one, where they can find you for executive endurance coaching, and then also I want them to know a little bit more about it's the Grit Files, right?
Yeah.
Grit Files podcast.
Yeah. So anyone who's looking for coaching, it's Executive Endurance Coaching LLC. I have an Instagram handle for that too. It's executive_endurance_coaching, which was terrible in hindsight, but here we are. I'm also really active on LinkedIn. I'm constantly on there. So if you want to shoot me a message there, that's a great spot too. And then the Grit Files is not too dissimilar from you guys.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Grit Files, it kind of came about through coaching. I was really, I remembered that I was so longing for stories of actual grit. Everybody gets the success stories and like when everything went well, but I wanted to be able to highlight the stories when people wanted to quit and they were able to have a conversation with themselves that convinced them to stay. I have a tattoo on my arm that's my dad's handwriting that says "stay in it," and that really was the precipice of this is like what convinced people to stay in it so that they could ultimately be successful and get through this hard time. So anybody that I have on the Grit Files, it's a story of hard. It's the moment that they wanted to quit and didn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
that.
been really fun. I want to highlight those times so that somebody who's in that moment of stuck feels a little bit more seen and they have some hope to be able to get to the other side.
No, it's the same reason why we do this show. It's more around business owners that started something from small, and what we've noticed is that most business owners always had some type of mentor.
Yeah.
We hope that this podcast can be kind of a lay of the land of, what a mentor looks like and how they've dealt with these things. So really, really appreciate you dealing with the technical difficulties. My Southern business partner suddenly leaving the podcast, and that's it for today. So thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.